welcome to Messier Peace Theater. I'm your host, Mike Messier. I'm very happy today because I have the entire cast with us on the show for the very first time. Let me introduce the wonderful cast. On my immediate right, playing Carol Walters. Actually,
yes.
Carol has a couple of last names, doesn't she?
Yes, I think Smith.
Yes.
It's kind of a boring name, but
it's okay. But, and Kathay, LaShay, Berenson.
Yes.
And I hope I said everything correctly. I think I did.
Absolutely. Perfect.
Thank you. And I pronounced the K in Kathay, right?
The K was perfect, and also the Y you did very well, too.
Thank you very much. Marybeth Paul is playing Dr. Ellen Council. Thanks for coming back, Marybeth.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And you were on our first episode, the interview show.
Right.
And I was very happy with
fun.
that. It was a lot of fun, and thanks for being on the first episode. And we kind of worked out all the kinks, and then we had Kathay and Brad.
Great.
And here we go with Brad Rhodes. Brad, how you doing, Bradley?
Good. Good to be here.
Good to see you. And you have the nice tie on. I appreciate that.
Oh, anything to impress you.
Thanks.
That's all I'm after, Mike.
And you're playing Frank, and Frank's kind of a man about the world.
Yeah, Frank doesn't have a last name like the other two characters I noticed, but we'll work with that.
We'll work with it. And what we wanted to do on this show was kind of break down this process. You see a lot of short films coming out throughout the world, really. Short film medium is big now. And but sometimes you don't really see how these things develop. And one of the things that I like to do is almost approach this like it is a theater piece in a way, and kind of start off with a table read. And before we get into that, Kathay kind of surprised me by having some tweaks or possible changes she wanted to make to some of the dialogue. And so I said, hey, you know what? Let's not talk about it in the green room. Let's save it for the camera. So before we go any further, I want to give the floor to Kathay, and you had some suggestions, and if the other actors do as well. But let's start with you, because you brought it up first.
Okay, well, on page, let's see here. Let's go to page, let's go to page 6.
Okay. And for the folks watching at home, this is basically, a 13-page script. So page 6 would be about halfway through. Go ahead.
So Carol says, it's not the Reagan era anymore, and we're not kids, we're adults. I'm thinking that I'd rather not say we're adults because I think that's obvious that we're adults.
Okay.
I'd like to say it's not the Reagan era anymore, Frank, and we're not kids.
You want to add the word Frank to it?
Yep.
Okay, that's good. I can see why.
And we're not kids because obviously,
Right, because that's redundant.
We're grown-ups.
Yeah, it's redundant.
Yeah, so I'd like to take that
Scratch
out.
We're
adults.
Okay, I can go with that.
Okay. And then I have a question, actually, on page 7, when Carol says, Frank says, the people I hurt, the people I affected, and to make things right. And I say, you didn't hurt anybody. Things happened and people moved on, as they do. But didn't he hurt Carol?
Yes, and you're hiding your feelings. You're putting on a facade.
So I'm putting on.
Yeah.
I wanted to clarify that. Okay, so that's a facade. Okay, thank you.
I asked that same question, remember, in the email.
I do.
Did you?
I did.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll make it
Because I didn't quite
unanimous.
understand
I
I had the
Okay.
same question.
Well, we got it all answered. Yeah.
Okay, so that.
So you're
Yeah.
And then once Mike explained it to me, because we spoke on the phone, he explained it because I had a bunch of questions.
Okay.
Then I got it.
Okay, thank you. That clarifies. That's really good. On page 8.
Okay.
Carol says, you lost your integrity a long time ago, Frank. There's no point in trying to rescue it now, like some faraway princess. Can we cut like some faraway princess and just leave it at, there's no point in trying to rescue it now?
No, I'll jump in. Why? What's the why for the change, I would ask.
Because I don't think Carol would say that.
Okay. Let's go with your instinct.
So you're losing your integrity. But
lost
would
your
you try
integrity.
to rescue it? Would you try to rescue your integrity like a faraway princess? I don't know.
That I can see what you're saying.
I mean, I leave it in if that's
There's
something.
no point in trying to. What she would be saying is rescuing the integrity as if the integrity is a faraway princess that he would be trying to rescue. And
Okay.
you think what do you?
I'll go with it if that's something you want to.
Let's go with it. Let's go with it for now.
Okay,
I'll keep a note that if it feels forced or feels too much of a stretch, I'm open to change. But let's run with it for a few table reads anyway.
Got it.
Okay.
I have a lot of things here.
I have some too. So
Yeah, okay.
Do you want Marybeth?
Let's go. Let's stick with you, then we'll go to Marybeth.
So Frank says, whatever it was, I didn't realize. I would never do that type of thing again, not now. I'm so sorry if you felt it was painful. And could I add Carol saying, painful? How many fucking albums do we listen to?
So she picks up on the painful word, and it's so insulting to her that she has to repeat it.
Yeah.
Well, there's even more there that's kind of insulting.
Sure.
We've already established that she's been in pain over this,
right?
And it starts to build and build. But for him to say, and he could be just a regular jerk, well, I'm so sorry if you felt it was painful, as if this is the first he's heard of it. Well, she's pounded that point a bit earlier.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask if I could just say, I'm so sorry that it was painful.
Boy, let me think here. I want to leave it, I'm so sorry if you felt it was painful. The reason why is this. A lot of times when people apologize and they use the word if, it's a half-assed apology. And I want Frank to give the half-assed apology.
Oh, you do?
Bradley might give a real apology.
Okay,
but
no,
Frank,
that's fine.
I want to keep with
that's
Bradley.
fine.
I want to keep with Frank saying if, because if is the great cop-out.
Well, and that's important, so I'm going to deliver it a little bit differently than I normally would have. So.
But just always remember, there's the characters and there's the actors. The real Bradley that I know wouldn't say if, but Frank is a bit of a jerk.
Well, yeah.
So see, he's a self-important jerk. And a self-important jerk would say, I'm sorry if you felt it was painful, because even though he's had all these experiences, as he says, with God and traveling the world, he's still holding on to his cop-out. He's still holding on to, you might felt it was painful, but I learned something from it. And so that's when she can pick up on the painful. So we can go with that painful.
Okay.
The painful that Carol would repeat will emphasize his if.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Okay,
thank
let's
you.
keep trucking on.
All right. On page 10,
Yeah.
Carol says shy. Ellen says uptight. Carol says uptight. I was never uptight, Ellen. I was just a normal college kid, Ellen. Like you were, 18, a freshman, my whole life ahead of me.
Yep.
What I would like to do is say, I was just a normal 18-year-old college kid like you. My whole life ahead of me. Keep uptight.
Abbreviate some of the wordage.
Abbreviate, because a freshman, do we need that?
Okay, are we still ending on my whole life ahead of me?
Yes.
Okay, because one thing when you make tweaks like this, and you've been good about it, is you, for the most part, want to leave the final line the same for the courtesy of your other actors. So I'm good with that abbreviation.
Okay.
I was just a normal, say it again.
Uptight, I was never uptight, Ellen. I was just a normal 18-year-old college kid like you.
That's good.
My whole life
I can
ahead
go
of
with
me.
that.
Okay.
That's good.
All right.
Basically, you're taking 2 or 3 sentences and making it into one.
Yeah.
I can go with that.
Okay.
And what's next?
And then the last thing, and I'll let somebody else have a turn here.
That's fine.
Ellen says, but it was my idea, page 11. All that rigmarole that Carol says about the photos.
Oh, that's great.
Could I say those photos that spread across the whole campus, that got to our classmates, our teachers, the dean, those photos that were spread out all over that creep's desk that he showed my mother and father.
I'm going to go with your instincts. You prefer dean over president?
I do.
That's interesting. Okay, we'll do that. And I trust your instincts on that.
Do you say those photos a bunch of times? Do you say those photos a few times?
I say them 1, 2, 3, 4.
Great. Perfect.
But I've
Sure.
You've got some of them.
I prefer not to say it all that.
Because then I say it here, because the photos are the crux of the whole thing, right?
See,
Those photos.
The thing is, the title of the piece could even be those photos, although I won't change the title of the story one more time.
No, that would give it away.
I like
we're giving it
the
away
repetition
anyway.
to an extent, and I'll tell you why. It's kind of a stylistic thing as a writer, because for me, these
Okay.
photos, those photos have took on such a legacy to your life, to their lives, but mostly to yours, that it's such a sore spot. It's like the kid who, pick your poison, something that traumatic happened to a kid in elementary school.
Okay.
He wore the Yogi Bear t-shirt to school in 9th grade and all the kids made fun of him, and every time he thinks of Yogi Bear, he wants to hide in a closet. You know what I mean? Those photos are such a dramatic thing that even when you utter those words, it causes an emotional, yeah.
So can you read it? Do you
Can
mind
I
reading
can
it?
I read it?
Yeah, go for it.
As those
the way you did it.
those photos that spread across the whole campus, that got to our classmates, our teachers, the dean of the university, those photos that were spread out all over that creep's desk that he showed my mother and father. Those photos.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Magnifique. Yes, beautiful. Thank you.
I'm just an actor, but I like that.
I like it too.
Good, because that leads you
No, I love
into
it.
your thing.
At those photos, and I'm like, yeah, Carol, those photos.
Remember those?
I do.
Yeah.
But it was so long ago when we were all just
I know.
kids.
Couldn't we just forget
I just
it?
want it to be
I don't
scandalous,
know.
exciting.
And
Looked
then
at.
one more
I just
one
want
more
it to be
thing.
special.
On that page,
Yep.
after Ellen says looked at, I just want it to be special. I say I was the one looked at. I'd like to add those disgusting photos.
Okay.
Could I add that
yeah,
word
you can
in
do it. You
there?
put disgusting.
They were.
Because
Disgusting.
I know deep down in my guts what they were, and
Right.
they were
Me
disgusting.
They really were.
Fair enough. I can go with that.
That's it. Okay, that's my spiel.
Okay, let's move on to Marybeth.
I've just got
and
a
then Brad.
couple.
Yeah, please.
Well, it's we changed this. The Alumni Association. The places you'll go, but that doesn't affect
Yep.
anybody else.
Just to clarify, Marybeth and I had an email and a couple of phone calls about the name of the award, and so she wanted to clarify it for the actual Dr. Seuss reference.
Because it's the places you'll go.
Correct.
Right? Yep.
Okay, keep going.
And then one other general thing, I say to Carol, today the tri-state, tomorrow the world.
Yeah.
Now the tri-state is New Jersey, New York, and Connecticut,
Right.
right? And then previously, though, in the first page, I say, what did Dr. Walters have to say about you escaping from the Cape? Now,
Oh, yes.
so I just wanted to clarify. I mean, tri-state, I looked it up.
Yeah.
Tri-state could be any contiguous 3 states, but usually when you say tri-state, you mean New Jersey, New York, and Connecticut. So we were all talking about it. We kind of had us all going to a
Confused.
particular college in New York.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I could still say the Cape, but would people know what the Cape is if you were in the tri-state area? Could I say Cape Cod or something? What did Dr. Walters have to say about you escaping from Cape Cod to join us back here? Or something like that.
That sounds good.
I don't know, something like that.
Yeah.
Cape Cod sounds good.
I'm just trying to be technical because
No, I
I
like it.
was
Yeah.
an editor in my last life.
That's good.
Almost everything is pretty much the same. The only thing that so when we talk about God,
Yes.
he says, I met God, and Frank says, God, blah, blah, and he says, God, the creator. I say, I don't know. What did he say? And who said he was a him? He never says he
Right.
before that. So can I just say, I don't know, what did he say? And then I could have a realization like, what did he say? And I'm like, who said he was a him anyway?
A moment of reflection upon what you just said
Because
yourself.
he doesn't say he before that.
That's good.
Okay,
Do
so
that.
that's how I was going to do that.
Yeah, thanks. Good
The other
catch.
thing was, because I am an anal editor, it says, always with the big questions, Frank. And then it says, is this the type of thing you talk about with God? So could I make that plural? So always with the big questions, Frank. Are these the types of things you discuss with God?
Okay, that's fine. Are these, you're
Are
saying,
these the types of things you and God discuss?
Good,
Because
good,
he's
good.
talking about numerous things.
that's fine,
Okay.
that's good.
That's excellent because we talk about cooking and all sorts of other stuff. So that works.
Cooking, yay.
Yeah.
The only other thing I have is at the end where I
Okay.
say perhaps we can do an episode about this.
Right.
And so I say, but we could change a bit of the story, but of course we could change a bit of the story, of course, to make it play better to our audience, but we could keep the integrity of the story. There are many lessons we could learn about drugs, about saying no, about forgiveness. Can I leave it there?
Yeah. What did I have? What did I have after?
You said there might be a lesson to be learned about drugs, saying no, about forgiveness. There are many themes we can learn from this. I'm asking if I can end it on.
Where's the change? I'm missing the
It's
change.
on 12.
Page 12.
At the end.
Right here.
So you think that's just too much, is what you're saying?
I do, because, but I'll.
Oh, I see. It's
you know
more
what I mean?
poignant to just, thank you.
I feel like it would be, because really that's a huge part of this, is there are many lessons we could learn from this about drugs, which we did, about
Right.
saying no,
Right.
which we didn't,
Right.
about forgiveness, which is what I'm asking you for.
Okay, so let's leave it.
Are you okay
let's
with
do
that?
it your way, yeah.
Instead of saying there are many themes we can learn from it. I could say that, but
I like that a lot.
The poignancy comes in, I think, more with your way in that to end on forgiveness especially is big. So this is a rare case where we do make a switch, but it seems like Kathy,
yeah,
as
we
Carol's
talked about
okay
it
with
actually
Okay.
Yeah.
there too.
So you know that your cue is different now.
That's right. That's the big
I
thing.
really like that. because it-
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
now your
about
cue
forgiveness,
is
so
and
you know your
forgiveness.
cue.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let's do that. We can
That
make
is
that
something
switch.
when you're
I like that a
acting. If
lot.
someone forgets their last line, then you don't get your cue. That is a thing.
Right.
For sure.
Could I say one more
Sure,
thing?
go for it.
Right after about forgiveness,
Page 12.
you ruined my life. You know that. Ruined. I was thinking how I felt as Carol destroyed, completely destroyed. I feel that word really says
Bigger than ruined?
It's bigger. And
Okay, make that change.
in my gut, I feel
You ended up pretty good. You married a
destroyed.
doctor. You have a place on Cape Cod. You have kids. I don't have any of that.
Here's the thing with that, I think, Mary
Yeah.
Beth and everybody, is that although she's had a pretty good life as
Yeah.
the doctor's wife, she feels that her life could have been even better if ... None of
course.
this ever happened to me.
course.
So she's holding on to this stone in her shoe. Go ahead.
But how do you know? How do we know that Carol's life was all rosy?
Well, I just see the online pictures because I haven't talked to you since college. And online, you look happy.
it looks like a
because I
rose
say
garden.
it does.
Okay.
I think there's
Got
a
it,
thing here
right.
where,
Yeah.
Online, it looks happy.
right.
You married a doctor. You have 2 kids. Blah blah
Exactly.
blah. Like from my character's perspective, because
Got it.
I don't know.
Yep.
I think a lot of people
Eating at
who
me a
are
little
going
bit,
through
but not
life
that much.
seemingly happy are not. People that we see online, people that we, even our family and friends, we think they're doing great, but they're not.
Yeah.
And I think that Carol is a perfect example of that. She's holding on to this stone in her shoe, this grudge, and she always feels had she finished the college on time as she expected to initially, she would have had a better life, regardless of how good her life seems
Yeah.
to outward people now. Brad, Mary Beth, was there anything else from your
Nothing.
end? Okay.
That was it.
And Mary, so Brad, let's move on to you. Do you have any thoughts on the script as far as any tweaks you want or anything?
Yeah, I was
What
was
page?
hoping my character could wear a cape
Oh boy.
Super
and
Frank?
talk a little deeper.
Okay.
No, I've got a couple. If you go to page 9,
Okay.
Carol asked the question, how many albums, Frank, how many albums did we listen to in that room? And I go into this thing quite a bit.
Yes.
It seems a little bit wordy, so I'm going to read it the way, if I had my wish.
Sure.
So I answer quite a bit. You want to know what God said? What he told me to tell you, both of you, and all the people I've hurt? He said, let it all go. Forgive. Remember, but not too much. The pain stays in those memories. Now, here's where we deviate.
Okay.
Let those memories die and slip through the crevice into the mind's eye. Then that memory, let it go. And maybe if you remembered the good things, then perhaps it was all worth it.
I like mine better. I see what you're doing. You're abbreviating it, but there's a certain...
Here's what happens.
Sure.
There's some redundancy in it, and I'm not trying to argue necessarily with you, but I read it 20 times, and I was having trouble making sense of it.
Read it now.
Well, I'll read it the way it is. What he told me to tell you, both of you and all the people I've hurt, he said, let it all go. Forgive. Remember, but not too much. The pain stays in those memories. those memories die, they pass on, slip through the crevice into the mind's eye, and the mind goes blank. And that memory, then it's gone. And maybe if you remember the good things, then perhaps it was all worth it. It feels like the kind of thing, if I was watching it on TV, halfway through that, I'm going to start dozing. Is the only concern I've got is it starts to sound, it waxes poetic a little.
I think
too much.
that's Frank's hippie nature.
All right.
I think we'll keep it as I wrote it for now.
All right.
We'll do the read. I think one thing, believe it or not, that might help, and it might seem counterintuitive, slow it down. I think for Frank, with all his Buddhist studies and all his Zen-like appeal to the world, that when he takes this English muffin and makes it into a buffet of croissants, that he feels self-important. He feels enlightened. Maybe that's different. See, that's the thing. That when the difference of character and actor comes in, sometimes we'll run it a few times and see if it works. But keep it for now. Definitely keep a note. I'll keep a note on this that this might get abridged, and I'll be okay if it does.
Yeah, the only reason I even mentioned all of it is there are two themes in this whole thing. One is pain and one's memories.
Yes.
And it almost seems like the function of both of them flip-flop a bit. So I was trying to bridge a way for, if you can let the pain go, let it slip through the crevice of the mind's eye.
Right.
Then the memory will fade. That was basically the only idea or notion, but it's not.
I want to say let's leave it.
It's not something the audience is going to dwell on that much.
Well, we'll find out, but let's leave it for now. Let's work on it in the table read is what I would say. What's next, buddy?
And this is another one where I kind of keep saying the same thing different ways, and it's on page 10 where Frank is talking about. And I was a little older, 23, I think.
Yeah.
And I've got the word taking heat several times, so I was going to ask if I could switch it to, I got into some trouble because it was my dorm room.
Yeah, that's fine. We can change the first heat into trouble. That's fine.
Okay, and keep going. And none of us were supposed to be there, and all that happened afterwards and all, it kind of passed over me. I was lucky I was the guy. I got off easy. We kept Ellen's name out of it. That was the big thing I figured. And just take it out. If one of us goes down, it should be me. Just say, I should man up. I told Ellen, deny. Let me take the heat on this. So it's just a couple of minor.
What did you want to change? I didn't catch you. What do you want to change in that part of it?
Take off the thing of, I figured if one of us goes down, it should be me. Because he already says it in another way. I should man up. I told Ellen, deny. Let me take the heat on this.
So you want to take out if one of us goes down, it should be me?
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. That's fine.
Yeah, because
That's
if
fine.
he is a philosopher, he's now starting to sound like a street
He's just going to say,
hey,
so
something
the final
down.
thing is he just says, I figured I should man up.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
That works.
That's good. Okay.
And you're saying heat because heat is what I say after. That was like, heat is important in that because it's like, then I say it and I did and you took it, the heat. That
Right. So
smoldering heat.
ending on let me take the heat on
the
this
heat
or for
is
this
important in that part,
is
I
right.
think.
Keep it the same.
And Ellen kind of tweaks the use of the word heat to a more
Right.
personal way, let's put it. And what else, Brad?
That's it.
Okay.
Just the cape, and then I'm good.
Okay, so I'll just kind of go through I'll just share some of my interior thoughts. And this is always good as a writer, especially when you're the writer-director. It's a balance of, leaving the integrity of the script as you wrote it, but also being open-minded enough to see that the improvements can be made. And when you cast the right people for the roles, you feel good about the casting. You want to trust that they know what they're doing as actors, as the characters, because now they're bringing their sense of what the character would say in the scenario to the piece. So as a writer, it's a balancing act, but the balance for me as the director is now I have to, the writer side of me has to go away for the most part and say, unless it's something I really want to fight for, most of the time I want to trust the actors because they know what they're doing, and that's why I brought them into this project. So that being said,
I want to say thank you so much for being collaborative.
Oh, you're welcome.
Because there are many people who aren't collaborative and just wouldn't even entertain something like this. So I really appreciate you being collaborative with us.
You're welcome, Marybeth. Yeah, and I know that everyone has really worked hard on their own to just get these lines memorized, and here we are together for the first time and taping all this stuff, all the tweaks, the questions, the answers on camera, because I wanted this Messier Peace Theater that night production to really entertain and educate the audience. How do you do something like this? And this is how we're doing it. And other people, there might be 1,000 different ways to do something like this, but this is the 1,001, the way that we're doing it. So let's, if we could, everybody, if everybody's ready, we'll take a little breath right now, but I'll take a sip of cold water. Messier Peace Theater in future episodes is open to any water sponsorship company that wants to pad my pockets. Otherwise, it's water brand water. But what I want to do is, without doing any blocking per se, blocking for those watching is when the body movements, where do the actors stand, where do they move, how do they move. We're not going to do that here because we're all mic'd up and we want to just kind of sit and do a table read. So this is basically like in character, everybody. So feel free to put your oomph into the characters. I know that there's other schools of acting where performers don't even want to do any type of emotions until deep into the project. I don't like that. That I prefer, if we're going to do a table read, let's have some emotion into it. I'm going to be quiet. You know what I'll do? I'll read the actions. And if there's anything way off, guys, or if there's any, guiding of the train that I need to jump in, I will. But for the most part, I'm going to just read the actions of the piece and let you guys do your thing. So is everybody ready?
Ready.
Okay, great. So this is that night. Dr. Ellen Council enters a backstage green room from an awards ceremony at her alma mater, dressed in an elegant dress with nice makeup, grasping a unique award trophy.
The Alumni Association Oh the Places You'll Go Award goes to Dr. Ellen Council for her continued excellence in psychology and media. This is so perfect. What a night.
Ellen grasps the trophy to her chest, closes her eyes with a triumphant smile, and lets out a breath of air to herself from off screen.
Certainly is.
Ellen opens her eyes to see Carol, darkly dressed, curled up on a black couch in the room.
Carol? Carol Walters? I can't believe it.
Believe it. Congratulations on your award, Ellen. The Alumni Association really loves you, don't they? After all these years. And you look great in person, Ellen.
Thank you.
Dr. Ellen.
Ellen slowly takes a few steps towards Carol, as if negotiating a difficult terrain. Carol pats the couch to invite Ellen to sit by her. Ellen finally obliges and takes a deep look at Carol's face.
Carol, I haven't seen you
Since that night.
Right. So, Mrs. Walters, what did Dr. Walters have to say about you escaping from Cape Cod to join us back here?
Well, I wouldn't know because I'm back to Miss Smith now. I am on my own.
Wait. Oh no, what happened? You two were so happy. I mean, it seemed that way. Those photos of you online with your kids. You seemed, I thought you were happy.
Look, we all thought we were happy. But now he is a she. Yeah, the good doctor found himself.
Wow.
Herself.
Transgender. Really? How interesting. Hey, do you want to talk about it? We must.
No, I don't want to talk about it. It's really painful for the kids.
I can't imagine.
Well, you should. I'm bullshitting you.
Carol!
Yeah, we just got divorced like everybody else.
Okay.
You know what? I really should have pursued drama when we were in college. Oh, God, I was always quite the actress.
Yeah, you always had a flair. You could have done it. You would have been so good.
Well, yeah, that didn't work out, did it now? Oh, well. So what else have you been up to besides the show? Have you actually found Mr. Right yet?
Well, there's still time, I hope.
Well, you must meet a lot of interesting men in your field with all those those interviews and everything with all those famous people?
Well, famous? Well, I suppose. My producers are making a gallant effort to get more prominently known guests on the show as we look for national syndication. Mm-hmm. Interesting? Yeah. Men, not so much. More like, I forgot to say this, we're gonna change this a little bit. Man-childs doesn't make sense. Men, not so much. More like little boys. It's hard for me to date just anybody, you know? Mm-hmm. You know I'm particular.
Yeah, me too. Well, I see your column online, and every once in a while I catch a TV show. There you are, right in the middle of my living room, every day.
Well, not every day, 5 days a week.
Oh, yeah, even you need the weekends off, huh?
Well, today the tri-state, tomorrow the world.
Oh, positive choices with Dr. Ellen Council. It's a stage name, right? Because I know your name ain't Council.
No, of course it isn't. My manager thought I should use a different name for privacy.
Oh, privacy, I see. Okay, well, I do like your show when I catch it.
Okay, well, we do have a website with all the past episodes. You can watch it whenever you want.
Mm-hmm. I could, but I won't. You know, I'm glad you still have it, though. It keeps you busy. You know, there must be a lot of money in what you're doing.
Wait, you mean in psychology?
In television.
Well, there's some, but Carol, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
It is.
I'm sorry, Ellen. I didn't know you had a visitor.
Frank, hello.
Let me pull that back a little bit. Frank enters in a sports coat with a smile. He sees Ellen first, and they make brief eye contact.
So let me just make one quick request.
Sure.
Can I change that to, forgot to ask you about this. Can I just change it to Ellen as I'm coming in the door? Oh, I didn't know you had a visitor.
So you want to just go with Ellen, like you're exclaiming to Ellen.
Well, I'm coming in because I have.
You think you're going to
talked
be
about
right,
this.
right,
They
right.
may have had a past with their friends.
Yes.
Much closer than he and Carol.
Correct. Or maybe more. Yeah.
Ellen. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you had a visitor.
I see what you're saying. So you wanted, because
Yeah.
do the thing where you said, Ellen, I'm sorry, I didn't know you had. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I'm trailing off so somebody has time to cut in.
Okay, that's fine.
So we don't have a gap.
Gotcha.
All right. Ellen, I'm sorry. I didn't know you had a visitor.
That Ellen's a little strong for me. That opening Ellen. You know, keep it the way it's written, because I want to have it a little bit mystery. It may not seem naturalistic. I want you to come in.
Well, he knows. Okay, so he's walking in. He already knows she's in the room.
He's expecting just to see Ellen on her own. He comes in with a sport coat and a smile. He sees Ellen first, and they make brief eye contact.
All right. We'll just leave it the way it is.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Ellen. I didn't know you had a visitor.
Okay, just say I didn't know you had, and then Carol hop in with the Frank.
Okay, you're not going to read Frank turns to leave, but Carol calls him back.
I will now. Yeah. Okay. So go ahead. Frank
I'm
enters
sorry,
the sport coat.
Ellen. I didn't know you had.
Frank turns to leave, but Carol calls him back.
Frank.
Her voice registers in his head, freezing him.
Frank.
Frank turns to see them, soaks it in that they are both together on that couch.
The gang's all here.
The boys are back in town.
You remembered the Skinnerd concert.
It wasn't a concert. We never got to the concert. You sold the tickets we all paid for to buy booze and other things. Instead of going to the concert like we told everybody, we somehow snuck into your apartment, into your dorm room on the Saturday night of Thanksgiving break. You convinced us that it would be more fun just the three of us. We had your brother's hand-me-down LPs. We just played those classic rock songs over and over and over. You played those bands for us so much that I actually started to like some of them. I became a fan of many of those bands. I've even met some of them.
On our TV show.
Well, that's terrific, Ellen. Should I leave you two alone?
Oh, no. Of course not. This party always had room for 3. Always did.
Well, and there's one more thing. The boys are back in town. Is Thin Lizzy, not Leonard Skinnard.
I'll take note of that.
Frank hesitantly takes a seat.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, we had some fun back then. Oh, wow, the music. You know what? Every once in a while, we got something in that we actually liked. Donna Summer, Carole King. But for the most part, it was Skinnard.
Yeah.
Ugh, Foreigner. Bachman Turner Overdrive.
Gods of Rock.
Hey, nobody was complaining at the time. College. Best 6 years of my life, and I almost graduated. Great place to go to school. Great town for baseball. Great town for friendships.
But it's not the Reagan era anymore, Frank. And we're not kids. We all promised we were going to be best friends forever. Sometimes a Saturday night promise is a Sunday morning regret.
Well, regrets, they can be painful.
So,
They
sorry.
hinder you.
So, what did Mr. Hands-On Experience ever end up doing?
Oh, I've done a lot. Traveled, met people.
I bet.
Such details. Where'd you go, Frank? What'd you do? Who'd you meet?
I met God.
And live to tell the tale?
God, you know, the creator.
I don't know. And what did he say? Anyway, who said he was a him anyway? Right?
He was a he. He didn't say much.
Yeah. Frank, why should he?
He asked me to apologize for the things I said, things I did,
Apologize to who?
to the people I hurt, people I affected, and to make things right.
You didn't hurt anybody.
I didn't.
Things happen. People moved on. As they do.
I didn't mean to. I didn't mean for that night to. I didn't mean for that to happen.
But it did.
It did, didn't it? And I'm sorry.
Or anything else, Frank?
I'm hoping we could discuss it further. What causes the pain? The pain of living, pain of death, the pain of being yourself. What causes someone to lose his integrity, to sell out to the common good? Are we all so frail as to give in to the easiest pleasure?
Always with the big questions, Frank. Are those the types of things that you and God discuss?
I'm serious.
You lost your integrity a long time ago, Frank. There's no point in trying to rescue it now like a faraway princess.
There's always time. There's always time for integrity.
And this is the point where Carol would stand and slap Frank. We're going to skip that for now. We'll just keep doing the lines. It's fine.
There's only this.
I suppose I deserve that.
Please stop.
No, it's all right. I deserve it. The things I did that night, I didn't mean for that to all happen, but it did, and I just...
You admit it.
God, it was college. It was just fun. It was just supposed to be fun.
Whatever it was, I didn't realize I would never do that kind of thing again. Not now. I'm so sorry if you felt it was painful.
Painful? How many fucking albums, Frank? How many fucking albums have you listened to in that fucking dorm room of yours?
Quite a bit. You want to know what God said? What he told me to tell you, both of you, and all the people I've hurt? He said, let it all go. Forgive. Remember, but not too much. The pain stays in those memories. Those memories die, they pass on, slip through the crevice into the mind's eye, and the mind goes blank. And that memory, then it's gone. And maybe, if you remember the good things, then perhaps it was all worth it.
I never chose any of it. I didn't have a choice. What?
I have a confession to make, Carol. It was me. I told him to do it. Well, Lynn, I wanted you to experiment with us. I was curious, and you were shy. It was a stage I was in. And
Shy?
uptight.
No, I was never uptight, Ellen. I was just a normal 18-year-old college kid like you were. I had my whole life ahead of me.
And I was a little older, 23, I think. I got into a little heat because it was my dorm room and none of us were supposed to be there, and everything that happened afterwards and all but kind of passed over me. I was lucky. I was the guy. I got off easy. And we kept Ellen's name out of it. That was the big thing, I figured. I should man up. I told Ellen, deny your involvement. Let me take the heat on this.
And I did. You took it. The heat. That smoldering heat. You protected me from it, Frank. And I've always loved you for that.
I'm glad you were both 18 at least, not 17 or 16. It was bad. The whole situation was bad, but it could have been a lot worse.
It was bad enough. It was bad enough.
It was. And I'm sorry. If you can forgive me for my part in it, I'd appreciate it.
And I'm sorry. I had him lace the brownies, and then later, I had him find a camera and take those photos.
And the photos. You were the one who took the photos.
I took them.
But it was my idea.
No. Those photos that were spread across the whole campus, those photos got to the students, our teachers, the fucking dean, the students that were spread, the pictures that were spread all over that fucking creep's desk, and him showing them to my mother and father. Those photos?
Yeah, Carol, those photos, but it was so long ago, and we were all just kids. Carol, we were just kids. I wanted to be scandalous, exciting, looked at. You know, I just wanted to be special.
But I was the one who was looked at in those disgusting photos.
I know. I'm so sorry. It feels so good to talk about it now.
Oh my God, I was kicked out of school. My whole life was uprooted. I was a laughingstock.
I know.
My family, my friends, I never got my degree. Married the first man that could look at me without knowing. I never told him.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're sorry. And you stayed in school and you did just fine for yourself.
I did.
Yeah, your column, your TV show, and your fucking trophy.
Hey, listen, perhaps we could do an episode about this. Really, it might be healing. We could change a bit of the story, of course, to make it play better to my audience, but we could keep the integrity of the story. Carol, there might be some lessons to be learned about drugs, about saying no, about forgiveness.
You destroyed my life. Do you know that?
God says there are many lives. There are many lives to be led. We might just ruin another, or perhaps we might just salvage.
Yeah.
We just might progress.
Frank brings them into a group clutch, arms on each other's shoulders, and a relief of emotions flow. Carol breaks from them, digs into her purse, and pulls out a gun. She aims at them, first at Frank, then at Ellen.
We all might just go to hell.
Okay, the end. Okay, good. First of all, great work for a read for the first time. That's very powerful. How you doing, Kathy?
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
My biggest thoughts are, for the purposes of the table read, this setup was excellent. Cody and Kevin here at the studio did a great job setting this up for us. What occurred to me at some point was, although for the table read this is great, the setup, I think for the actual short film, I might go to stools instead of the couch. The reason why is the couch is very comfortable, it looks great, but it soaks in a lot of energy. And I think when we're free from the couch, I think some of this, especially with the two ladies at the beginning, is going to pop more off the couch. And we have some nice bar stools that'll work fine.
Or we could stand.
We can stand.
We can always stand.
Stand is fine
Plus,
too.
the way we are right now, we
yeah.
are just so straight line linear.
Yeah, we can't do that. It's like,
We're like,
It was the ironic part to all of this was there were moments where you two were talking to each other fairly softly because you have lav mics on, but I couldn't hear. I was watching your mouths to see when they were stopped.
oh, wow.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
good to know.
Well, that's fine. It's part of the process.
Yeah.
And part of the process is finding out what's working and what needs tweaking. That being said, a lot of this was for the camera, for the show, because we want to have a nice, presentation. And the couch is great, but it's just a thing where I think that for the actual short film and for the actions, we need to just try something else.
Yeah, it's fun to play.
Yeah. So I think I feel pretty good about it. The slap thing, I'm kind of questioning now. The reason why I'm questioning it is because the gun, if we go with the gun, which even Kathy and I were talking about that, I had some second thoughts on the gun. But if we do go with the gun, I feel like it might be more powerful if it comes out of nowhere as opposed to physical violence earlier. You see what I'm saying? Like if she attacks him once physically,
Yeah.
then it would almost make sense. Like, why doesn't she slap him, then pull out the gun and just pull him
just
away?
do it, yeah.
Right. So
Or you could look at it as she slaps him,
Also,
and you think that's done.
That's it.
And then all of a
Right.
sudden the gun comes out. Oh my God!
but we
Right.
haven't practiced the stage
Yeah,
stage
I think we should
combat,
both-
so I'm not physically going to hit you.
Oh,
so
I-
we have to practice that whole
I'm
camera angle
perfectly
thing.
fine with that because my wife and I have done theater together where every night she had to slap me.
Yeah.
No, I
For-
won't
for-
do that. No,
Why not?
that's I personally won't hit somebody.
I'm
Well,
feeling.
hand.
Can't look real if you.
Yeah, you can. You can do it with camera
I'll jump in
angles.
here, guys. I'm kind of feeling that I don't like the slap at this point. I kind of feel like I'm looking at the script, and as you guys were going through it, it quickly came to mind in edit that I think I want to give it. I just want to do this. Let's go to page 8 and 9, and it would really just be on Frank to kind of just remember this. I do think the Faraway Princess works.
Yep, that was fine.
And so then we go to the next thing, which is Frank. There's always time left. There's always time for integrity. Okay, so Frank, there's always time for integrity. We scratch the next line. Scratch the rest of 8, okay?
Scratch, okay.
There's always time for integrity. Scratch Carol, scratch the
Oh,
slap.
wow, then you're scratching all of this.
Just a little bit. And then the top of 9, pick up on when it says, Frank says, I didn't mean for all that to happen, but it did. And Carol, you admit it.
Okay.
Because even the way it's
time left,
written
there's always
initially
time for
was with the exclamation point in the question. That's very strong. And I feel like that could be more powerful than the slap. Is if we go from Frank saying, so Frank, Brad, you with me? There's always time for integrity on page 8.
No, I'm
Yep.
And then you
I'm
get
already
rid
with
of
you,
all
and I'm on
this.
page 9.
Good.
Okay.
What
Get
he
rid of
has
that.
to say though is the thing I did that night. That has to be in there.
Yeah.
Oh,
Was
yeah,
that- was
yeah,
that-
She,
you're right, yeah.
Carol then says you admit it, so that's why it's drawn out. The thing I
There's always time
did
left.
Yeah.
that night, I didn't mean
Okay,
for all that
you're
to
right.
happen.
You're right.
Get rid
You're
of
right.
this.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
good. So Frank will say, "There's always time left. There's always time for integrity." That his next line will be,
Like a beat.
"The thing I did that night. I didn't mean for all that to happen."
Okay, now it's not a good transition.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to
I'm
take a
going
beat.
from talking about there's always time left. There's always time for integrity.
You've got to take a big
then-
beat or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
and
Well,
like
it's more,
reflect.
it's
I
more
don't
than
know.
a beat.
Exactly,
Now it's
yeah.
a complete
It is.
thought change.
It is.
Okay.
The thing I did that night.
Lost your integrity long time. Right?
All right, I'll
I got something
let's
for you.
play with it.
There's
Let's
always
play
No,
with
I
it.
got
Time
some.
for
I see
integrity.
what you're saying. That thing I did.
But
Yeah.
There's
But-
always time left. There's always time for integrity,
But you could add a but.
even when challenged.
No.
Even
Can I beg off on that? Can I try a gap in there and
Yeah,
we'll
yeah.
see how it plays
A pregnant
out?
pause.
Yeah.
A pause.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
a beat.
because I think
silence.
it
A moment
could
of
work,
silence.
You could be like,
Would be
yeah,
really
integrity, and then you
nice.
Yeah,
could be
that's
like,
Yeah.
And he's basically trying to redeem himself. I didn't mean for it to all happen.
But
I'm
that
trying to
thing
get
that
my
I did that
integrity
night.
back now. So
Okay.
I can make it work.
A beat.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Good.
I think
That's
it would
good.
work with a big
All right.
beat.
So I think
We
that'll
can play
work.
with that too.
Yeah.
It will.
Let's see what else. Beyond
In the
that.
beginning, I don't know that like Carol is. I don't know anything's really wrong with Carol until she lays it on us later, right?
Yeah, that's
that how
why.
it goes?
Go ahead, Kathy.
Well, yes, and to answer, and I was thinking about this too, and I wanted to ask Mike, do you think it should be in the beginning because she doesn't know why I'm there? It
I
may
wouldn't
be a
be
little
upset.
more fun,
Well,
a
I
little
think it would be.
more playful, because maybe
yeah.
I don't want to give all that away in the beginning.
No,
thought
I
you-
don't because
I thought you were a
you'd be
little
playing
bit-
the end.
I think you were. Yeah, I think on page 3, I caught you, Kathy, being a little too animated and aggressive.
Yep.
About a couple of minutes too soon.
But we do it in here. So I agree with you. If you agree with this,
Yeah.
is in this beginning
playful.
thing. Yeah, because I wouldn't be thinking you're there to be
to
mean
kill
to
you.
me or to
Yeah.
kill me.
Right.
I'd be like, Carol, I'll just like I can't believe it, and have it be nice and not me tentative sitting down, but maybe a teeny bit in the hidden depths of my soul
Sure.
because
Yeah.
of what's happened a lot, and I've squelched it for so long. But have it be more like, how are you?
And that was my
da-da-da-da.
first instinct, was to be more humor, playful
Yes,
with you.
right.
But then I don't know why I went
Well,
to
it's
the
'cause
darkness.
because the direction
Well,
says
Darkly.
right.
So
well,
just
Page
kinda-
bottom
little
of page
bit.
3, you were doing something with like a mocking voice.
positive choices.
Yeah, I didn't
Take that out.
I didn't feel that you need to mock it. I feel like it's a matter of fact with
Yep.
a ring of sarcasm, but you were kind of doing it in a way that was more like a sing-song,
Okay.
openly mock, and I think that was a little too soon for that.
Okay.
Kind of
Perfect.
You're luring us in, kind of. Like,
Yeah.
You know
Well-
what maybe I don't know. That's your character, so
And it was
don't let me say anything that's not
yeah, no,
appropriate.
no. It was purely like I just went with what was going on in the
That's
moment
fine. That's good.
because
It's
we were
actually fun,
reading
too.
through it.
Yeah, that's
But
good.
I would like to have it a little more like, hey, you were my best friend,
know.
and wow, and blah blah blah.
And you don't really know at that point that I was the one.
No, I
behind-
don't.
Yeah.
You're right. I don't.
You don't know I'm behind it all.
So
You don't know that I made him do it.
no, I don't.
Right.
But I didn't really make him do it because he convinced
When do you
us
think
we'd have
that
more
I
fun.
can transition?
right?
Into more.
That's why I spent all your money on that
Yeah.
stuff.
Did on that
Because I'd
stuff.
agree with you on that.
Yeah.
I felt like I was I don't like where I'm going with
kinda
this, but
jumped
then
a
it was
little bit, yeah.
too late. But
Well, I think it's when some things, like for instance, when Ellen says on page 3, it's still on page 3, when she says the thing about TV for privacy,
privacy.
the privacy kind of pisses you off.
Well,
Well, that kinda
that's why-
shifts. That shifts
right.
a little bit,
It
I
does
think.
shift because that is a big thing in this script.
Right.
Because
It's privacy.
Obviously.
Because-
So, right. Yeah, privacy.
So
The privacy.
That's a big thing.
She's trying to protect her privacy now,
Right.
but back in college, she didn't care about your privacy.
Right.
No.
And then you do say, well, you can. I say, well, you can watch them whenever you want. Watch it whenever you want. And you're like, I could, but I won't. So
Right.
you're giving like little things.
hints, yeah. But don't I know that Frank? I mean,
Do
You know that Frank is there because you're waiting for the two of us with a gun.
yeah.
No, I think you. Well, that's a good point, and that's sometimes
That's where maybe
you
I'm
can.
getting a little. It's a
Sure.
little bit of
I'm
a
not sure.
gray area for me.
Well, maybe they were both on your hit list, but Frank just happens to walk into the first hit.
Okay.
You put it that way in your
Okay,
mind.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Or maybe you're always
But
prepared
maybe
for battle.
she wasn't, because maybe she wasn't coming in knowing, she doesn't know all this stuff about what I
guys, you're
did yet.
forgetting
She
one
thinks it's Frank.
important-
Yes.
So
you're
she's not
forgetting-
coming in to kill me yet, right? Because I mean.
You're forgetting one important
Frank's
thing
doing
that takes the whole problem away.
What's up, buddy?
This is the day and age where people have carry permits, people worry about their own protection and safety, and they carry pistols in their purses. Not everyone, but I can't find a reason why she couldn't have.
Carol could be
Yeah,
a
you can.
gun-toting Walmart
Right.
shopper.
She's twisted.
Well,
Yeah,
I know.
she could. It's quite. Yeah, that's a good point. Frank.
with the types of dangers,
Yeah.
especially that women face now,
Right.
in broad daylight, parking garages, everything under the sun, I don't find it unusual at all that she would have a small pistol in her purse.
That's correct. She could be very well the person who has a gun with her at all
Yeah,
times.
so she didn't come with the intent to shoot anybody. It's for her own protection. But she
Right.
is now driven
And
to
that's
rage.
a fair justification, because like you said, Brad, a lot of people do carry guns.
That would make a really good episode with you pulling the gun.
Yeah.
We could do an
Yeah.
episode
There you go.
about that.
Why does
Yeah.
my friend Carol from college walk with a gun?
Do you want to talk about it? Because I am
Not
a therapist,
really.
you know.
I think we're.
No reason to talk. Boom.
So I think what we're going to do,
blow my
folks.
brains out.
I think we're going to wrap this episode, so to speak, and then we'll. But before we do we'll give a few minutes. Any further thoughts on the first read? Because this was really great for a first read. So I was very impressed with that.
Well, for me, when we go further, is to be more playful in the beginning
Yeah.
with Ellen, because she was my best friend, and I'm happy to see her. I guess I'm happy she got an award. I don't know,
We stay in touch online.
but
We do.
I haven't seen you in how long? Because I only see you on.
I think there's.
Online.
And social media.
I think there's still
media.
some terseness there. Although just I'm jumping in a little bit because I don't want it to seem like they're Facebook besties or something, and they,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, oh my God, I'm so happy to hear. I still want that sense of, oh
So
shit.
can we find a happy medium?
Yeah, find a happy
That's like a
medium.
layering
Yeah,
thing.
some
That'll
layering
layer
stuff.
it.
Yeah, I don't
Layer
want
all
it to
that.
be like, this is my Instagram buddy, and now
But
we're
you'll
gonna.
see
yeah.
that in the acting because we've
Right.
done our backstory work.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so even if you're delivering that line, you're going to see it
inside
in
is-
the actor's eyes because I have that memory of what happened.
Yeah.
Correct.
It usually shows on camera, like the little nuances
It will.
can show.
Yeah.
The other thing I would
will.
say, from my own perspective, kind of seeing the piece finalized in my mind's eye already, is there are moments that might be a little bit slow on the audio, but I'm hearing the music already to it, meaning the literal composition
wow.
of the music. And I have a really good musician that's been working with me several times, Tony Caramadre at Fat Tone Studio, and knowing that he'll be able to add layers of elements of music to this picks up the gaps in what might seem to us to be, oh, this is a slow point or whatever. But I'm okay with that because I know that that leaves the composer some room to play with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So trying to think in those terms too. Go
I'm
ahead,
going to turn
Kathy.
off my phone.
But
Well,
also, I mean, I've never said, Carol's never said these words before. So, I mean, if there's a pause, if there's an
Sure.
organic thing that happens, it's,
Humanity.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
just
fine.
want to be able to,
Beauty of
to
acting.
do that. If something comes up that any of us are feeling, to take that, and we're all listening, so we're not going to respond,
Yeah.
So I think that will be a nice thing to do if we can,
Yeah, totally.
not rush through the thing.
No,
right?
not rush through it. One thing, guys, is just on a table read, it's fine, but we'll just be a little more aware of each other's cues, so to speak. I know it's a first read, so it's going to be a little rough. That's fine.
Yep.
We'll finish with Brad and then Marybeth, and then we'll wrap it.
Yep.
I had one thought, and I don't know if it helps or hinders you two gals, but is there a possibility that, there may be a bit of tension between you guys in the beginning, but I'm almost wondering, once Frank arrives on the scene, which Carol wasn't expecting, now all of a sudden this thing is just becoming a little too vivid and agitating. And it might not be anything the audience necessarily picks up, but only toss it out.
I think I know full well that you're going to be there.
And I
But
go into
myself-
that monologue about what happened
I mean,
a little bit.
I know you're going to be there. That's
Well,
just
okay.
my.
And
That's
I like
just.
that- I like
that's-
that power that-
That's what I'm going
I
with.
like that power.
Okay.
Go ahead, Marybeth.
No, I was just saying, like, when he arrives, I don't say what actually happened that night, but I go into the monologue about,
Yeah.
a little bit, although I don't give it away too much. And I'm constantly trying to change the subject.
And I think that's good.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, because you of the three, in a material sense anyway, have probably had the most success, at least the way you
Yes,
would
I
see
have.
it. Yeah, and then in that case, of course you want to move on to lighter topics.
Well, yeah, I don't want to talk about this.
No,
This is
no.
the
it's-
last thing I want to talk about
Right.
on my award night.
And only if
Y'all
you
are
can.
messing up my award night.
Right.
Only if you can package it for your show would it be of interest to you to share it to the world.
This is true.
Okay, folks, I think we've reached the end of this very exciting episode of Messier Peace Theater. We try to bring you into the world of what it's like to kind of do a table read, a lot of feedback from the actors, and trying to just make this thing happen, and it's happening. So it's always, the process is very fascinating from the inside and hopefully from the outside looking in. So thanks for joining us on Messier Peace Theater. We'll see you next time.